Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be watching and reacting to a video by Sito, a fellow pro player, basically the #1 French player, very strong player, got top 16 in the last S tier tournament, King of the Desert, only lost out to Viper. So a very solid player, obviously plays the game a lot. And the title is, I'm concerned about the future of AOE2. And it has a decent amount of views, has like 2,000 views, and we'll give it another like. So in under 24 hours. So clearly people are interested in, this kind of content and they want to hear what pro players have to say. And I figured let's go ahead and watch it, see what he thinks about the future of AOE2, what his concerns are, and I'll kind of give my perspective as well. And of course, whenever we do a react video like this, I'm essentially stealing their content. So go subscribe to the main channel and support our fellow pro players. Sito has a channel both in English and in French. He is, of course, the #1 French player. So with all that said, let's go ahead and hop right in. Also, he has a pretty thick French accent, which I absolutely love. So I will translate some things if I feel like it might be a little hard for you guys to understand. I am an expert in translating French accents. I grew up in Quebec. It's basically what you do there for a living. Now, with all that said, for real now, let's hop in.
Hello guys, today I wanted to do this video because I'm scared of the future of Age of Empire. I don't know if you noticed, but every DLC, there are new mechanics, but also there are new units. And the new units becoming stronger and stronger each time. Almost like devs want us to play them. It's becoming like, of course you have to sell the DLCs, so you have to make the new stuff strong, right? But I think you can make the new stuff strong without like making them one-dimensional. And every time there is something specific about the sieve, this thing is what we can call OP. Let me explain it. Armenian, Warrior Priest, they were already really good. This sieve is about churches, right? This is a church sieve. Church super strong, and they buffed Warrior Priest again when it was stronger than it was. When it was already stronger than a lot of units. Check the stats. So with the HP upgrade entity, it's 95 attack in Castlage. 95 HP, sorry. 11 attack, 1/1 armor. Just check a longsword. That's normally the unit in Castlage. 60 HP. So 35 less HP. And 2 less attack. And this unit is even cheap to do because it costs only 30 food. The gold is not that important in the early game. So like, doesn't matter what you do, you have to play this unit with this sieve. And then what's the strategy about the sieve then? What's the strategy when you play this sieve or other like really sieves that have one powerful unit? We have other cases like this. We have Wu, for example, this unit, super strong, right? Wei, the Cavarches, super strong. They make something super strong, so you have to play it. And it's not about strategy, it's about execution then in a strategy game.
Okay, so we've heard his initial concern. Basically, he doesn't like the fact that when new civs are released, they're made intentionally strong. He used the word overpowered to basically sell the DLC and make it exciting and force people in a way to play the unique stuff. They want to make it appealing enough to where it doesn't get overlooked. And I think he's right about that for the most part. So if you look at the recent patch that I did a video breakdown of it, maybe my editor can throw a couple things on the screen. Maybe not because we're in a rush a little bit. But basically, they buffed Warrior Priests again. They made them cost 10 less gold. They buffed Kashyyyks like crazy. They buffed the Flemish Militia. They're buffing all the unique stuff. So it's very clear that they want to push the unique stuff. And I think that's a very good concern from Sito. That makes a lot of sense to me. I wouldn't necessarily criticize the developers of making the new stuff overpowered, though. I've talked about this before. Trust me, I criticize the devs over anything. But I don't think it's fair to say that they intentionally make the new stuff overpowered. My opinion is they don't really know what will be overpowered and what won't be. They try to make the new stuff exciting, and they try to make the new stuff, they want to make it so people rush to try it out. That's what they try to do. I don't think they are high enough level players to where they know for a fact this is going to be overpowered, and we're making it overpowered on purpose. And I think like there's a bunch of patterns of civs that are just underpowered on release. And so I don't think it's fair to say that they make the new stuff overpowered on purpose. All right, that's my personal opinion. But I do think that they try to push the unique stuff very hard, and that is a valid criticism. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Let's go ahead and see what more he has to say about it.
Is it a strategy game still. Yeah, like all the new units, like like the fire lances, the grenadiers, this kind of unit, I feel like they are just too strong. Like normally in Age of Empire we have this logic of like having rock, paper, scissors, like a counter which get countered by something else, which counters something else, which get countered by something else. It's like we have like a triangle, like which with units countering each other. And this triangle, on top of this triangle, you have a unit that you have to do because it's so strong. Like, and they keep buffing. It was already a strong unit. They buffed, though they made Gambesson cheaper, the Financers for the Financers. And they buffed the attack of the unit with churches, for example. So
Yeah, that made no sense. Like buffing this bonus from the Jurchens made no sense. This was already a very strong bonus. This doesn't make sense to make it 25% faster. I'm pretty sure the Step Lancers and both the Fire Lancers as well are absolutely insanely broken with the Civ at this point. Just because 25% faster is insane. It was already strong at 20%. So yeah, that doesn't make sense.
it's already strong. They keep buffing it. I feel like they tried to do it for a long time, but they were just failing, let's say. For example, with Burgundian, they gave us Cavalier in the Castle Age when it was released. I feel like they thought it would be stronger. They are just not very good at the game, so they thought it would be stronger. It was not as strong as they thought.
See, that's what I said earlier. The devs are just not that good at the game, so they don't know what's going to be broken and what's not going to be. I agree with them there. I think they thought the Cavalier was going to be stronger than it was.
And same with like Khitan, heavy cavalries in Castle Age. I feel like they're making like unique stuff that you play Burgundian, you have to go for Cavalier. It's not the case anymore. They have been buffing this Flemish Militia, and now with Burgundian, you have to go Flemish Militia. So they're buffing infantry. They buffed longswords, for example, but with all the other units that we have now, why would you make longswords? Buffing dungeons, some patch, buffing surgeons. Like we're making the Civ very, very unique. We buffed the Mamluk, elite Mamluk upgrade. Yeah, it's just I'm not sure I like that. I feel the Civ are becoming really one-dimensional, and something that is already good about the Civ shouldn't be stronger.
I want to talk about this a little bit. This is a very good point. So, essentially, what he's saying is, we have civs that are good at a few things. Okay, unique stuff like only the civ gets access to. For example, the sergeants, the Flemish militia for the Burgundians, the Step Lancers and Fire Lancers for the Jurchens. They're already unique stuff that they're already strong. If you buff the already strong unique stuff more, you end up in a situation where you have to play that unit for the civ to feel good. Like for example, if you go back to the Jurchens example, that one bonus that makes their Fire Lancers and Step Lancers, or all mounted units rather, fire or attack 25% faster, you have to play that category of units, or else your civ does nothing. So crossbows, you never want to play them. Skirmishers, you never want to play them. Longswords, you never want to play them. You never want to play 3 or 4 core units because you have to play the units that your civ gets buffed by. Because what happens is if you don't play those units, you are falling behind comparative to another civilization. And the devs see this as like, okay, Jurchens are weak. They have a low win rate because they look at win rates primarily, by the way. This is how they buff and make decisions, right? Buff and nerf stuff. So they look at the win rate and say, okay, Jurchens are weak. How do we make them stronger? But we still want people to use their unique stuff. So we're just going to make their unique stuff stronger. That's the band-aid solution. But what that does is that makes it one-dimensional. So to Sato's point, that's a very good point. I agree with that 100%. The Civ now becomes one-dimensional where you have to play those units. You have to play that bonus because it's so insanely strong. And then the Civ gets like nothing else. And I've criticized the developers and I've told them straight up to themselves, like as feedback, I've told them, I really don't think that's good game design to make it that you have to play into a certain, type of unit for your Civ to feel really good. And if you don't, it feels very bad. Because then what happens is it's impossible to balance. Your Civ is either overpowered or horrible, nothing in between. I love civs that get a lot of different options, and it's up to you, the player, to be, strategic in the moment and decide what to go for. And to Sato's point, like Flemish Militia was already strong. They made it cheaper. Now everybody's going Flemish Militia. It's basically free. This unit costs nothing. They actually double buffed this unit, maybe even a triple buff over the last 2 patches. It's absolutely insane what they've done to this unit, to the point where it's now just insane. Like you just have to play Flemish Militia at least a little bit with Burgundians every game, or else you're just not using the Civ to the full potential anymore. So yeah, definitely agree with that point. Let's see what else.
And what if at some point it becomes just a game of you have one unit in mind, if you reach it, you win? What if it becomes like this? And yeah, this is a bit scary, honestly, because like what's beautiful about Age of Empire is the balance we have with units. Oh, I'm making scums. So he will go cab. Okay, he will go cab. Then I'm making pikes. Then he will go scorpions. You know, stuff like this. Countering, like just always countering each other. Like it's about decision making, doing the right units, sending the right units to the like to micro them properly against the right unit of the opponent. No, like Animal Bengalis. This is all about where are they? Rata. Right? Like the stats of the Rata is just insane. Like Bulgarians are trying to buff the Krepost. I think it's good because they need a buff. But what if at some point you only have to go Krepost? Like that's the only thing you can do, Krepost and Konix.
Yeah, that's true. They do buff the Krebos. They did buff the Conics before that as well. So they're clearly just buffing the unique stuff. Even though the problem with Bulgarians is that they don't have any options to go for. They're just it's a very one-dimensional civ. They don't have a lot of different options. They're missing crossbow. They're missing this or that. They're already one-dimensional, and the devs' response to that is, oh, let's just make them more one-dimensional. Let's just buff what they're already good at, because we want people to go Krepos with Bulgarians. Even though it's like, no, Krepos would be a lot stronger if Bulgarians had another threat. That's the whole idea, right? If I know the opponent's gonna go Krepos, I would just do everything I can to stop him from doing that, and most of the time I'll succeed. But if my opponent has 2 or 3 other options that he can go for, I'd be like, maybe he's not going to go Krepos. And then, oh, he went Krepos in the end. I'm surprised, and now I'm getting Krepos rushed, right? So the unique stuff gets stronger when the civs get more options, because you don't necessarily expect them to go for the unique stuff. And that's the perfect balance that I think we really have to try to get. We have to get a civ that has a good amount of options, and then the unique stuff can shine because in the right situation, it's extremely powerful. But it's not like it's always, the go-to idea with the civ.
I don't think it's a great idea, really. I think the identity of Age of Empire, of having thieves, like, I don't mind having some bonuses, like, let's say, for example, you collect wood faster, right, with skills. This is not telling you have to go for a specific unit. You can do any unit with that, with a faster collecting wood. So that's great, right? Because you can still have unit choices, and choices are great for a strategy game. But if you play Jurchen and you have a strong unit, they give you a strong unit that as bonuses, you have to make it. You have to, right? Like, for example, Jurchen is a good example. All the unique units they gave are like very strong. Grenadiers, Fire Lances, and the unique unit. Super broken as well. So
they just buffed the unique unit as well, again, which is interesting.
It's just the unique stuff. Like, I think they should play more towards like eco bonuses and some standard army bonuses. Like, why not buff some archers? Why not buff some scouts still? Why not buff some pikes? I don't know. So we can have like stronger composition. And indirectly, when you buff the pikes, you will also buff the scums, right? Because then it's a combination. You can do both together. So you're like keeping the balance. I think it's rare to have a balance when you are buffing a unique unit. Always like making a unique unit stronger, and then the other units really feel weak after. So then to do that, you need to balance them. You need to buff something, right? And then out of nowhere, because you buff too much mana terms, maybe Japanese will be too strong. Like it's buffing something always forces you to buff something else that will buff something that was not intended to be like this in the game at the beginning. Like Japanese infantry attacking 33% faster is fine because infantry is not so popular. What if they have to keep, for example, buffing champions because other units are too strong? And then this becomes too strong because 33% is a lot.
Okay, this is a pretty good example. So basically what he's saying is you already have civs that get good bonuses for certain things. Like Japanese are not overpowered because infantry was weak. If suddenly tomorrow they buff infantry again, then Japanese has a risk of being overpowered. And this is a good point to mention because what we talked about earlier of the warrior priest being stronger than the longsword. Now, the usual response is that we just nerf the warrior priest, but sometimes what the devs decide to do is, okay, we want to we want to buff the longsword because the longsword sees no play now because everything else is way stronger. So then we start buffing the longsword, and now everything just becomes so insanely strong. The power level gets really high, and essentially what he's describing here is power creep. And I think we've seen a ton of power creep over the last 1 or 2 years, especially with the recent DLC. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that Chinese DLC introduced a shit ton of power creep. The fire lancers, the rocket carts, they're all so insane. Like, the units are so strong. The Zambe Raiders, like, everything is just so strong that it feels like the generic units just aren't cutting it anymore in most cases, which is kind of a shame. So a lot of what he's saying here is actually just 100% spot on, by the way. I did feel like I wanted to push back a little bit and create some more discussion, like some more both sides. And I'm trying to, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, so far, he's 100% correct. He has a good read of the game, which makes sense. He's a pro player. We invest the most time into this game. We know the full potential of these units and whatnot. So it kind of makes sense that, you know, as far as gameplay takes, it's usually on point. But yeah, I will push back if I disagree with certain things. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm just scared. Like, same, they buffed the camels in Feudal Age. What if at some point you only have to go camels? It's just, I don't know. I feel like they're not trying to find a balance in the game. They're trying to make the things exciting. Like, oh, you buy this sieve. Let's say you buy Gorgas. Oh, now this is only sieve that can make camels in Feudal Age. So that's the reason why I'm gonna buy it, right? So instead of keeping the active players happy, they are trying to bring new players by doing exciting new things, you know. And they're trying to make people buy the DLCs doing exciting new things as well. But I feel like a lot of people will leave the game at some point. Like, people like the game, like people downloaded the game and bought the game for its balance, right? And if it's just like League of Legends, you just micro one unit or like one type of unit and win. Because, you know, League of Legends, this kind of game, you just micro one unit, right? But if you have only one type of unit because the type of unit is too strong, then it's the same, right? They tried the same with Hindustani. When they released Hindustani, like, the Gulam were so broken. Like, for example, I don't like the unique stuff. I think unique stuff can be really unbalanced.
Sorry.
And people have been scared of heroes, for example, with the new sieves, which was balanced. I don't know if the devs wanted it balanced. It's just, yeah, the new units are just make the game toxic. Like, as a player, we're at the stage where when I play 1v1, I feel like my sieve or the open sieve can be very toxic. And it used to not be like that. It used to be like, oh, I'm this sieve, is this sieve. Okay, we're gonna do this unit, this unit. You know, it's gonna be a cool game. Nowadays, I face Burgundian, I'm gonna face Flemish and Siege Tower. I'm facing Armenian, I'm gonna face the Warrior Priest only. I'm facing Bengalis, I'm gonna face the unique unit only. Let's say I'm facing yeah, like, just Georgian, I'm gonna face this thing, or this thing only, or this thing, but something strong that even if I counter it, he will do more of this unit. Let's say he will do Cavarches, I will do Scums, he will do more Cavarches because they attack 25% faster. And then you don't have a proper balance. There are a lot of sieve wins nowadays, and the state of the game was perfect. I mean, not perfect, but it was very good before the Chinese sieve DLC. And soon we're gonna have a new DLC where, you know, the more impressive things you do, the more you have to keep doing impressive.
Okay, we'll get back to that point. He's making another good point as well, but do have to talk about that for a second. So before the Chinese DLC, I was just talking about that earlier. I agree, the balance was pretty damn good. It was actually like solid. Like, the civs interacted well with each other. They didn't feel like certain civs were too strong. Like, I made tier lists that were super well balanced. And then they introduced the Chinese DLC, and like 3 out of the 5 civs are S tier. And then the other 2 civs that were weaker got buffed. And then the S tier civs got nerfed a little bit. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, now we just introduced so much power into the game via new unique stuff, which is weird because now we have certain civilizations that are just completely strong, but only they get access to the strong stuff that makes them strong, which now other civs are just weak in comparison to those civs. And now here's the big question, right? do we buff all the other civs to match the new power level that has been introduced to the game, or do we simply nerf the new civs? Okay, and what's happening on the last patch is that we're just buffing everything else. The new civs got nerfed a little bit, and everything else gets buffed a significant amount. And the power level is going higher and higher and higher. Now, what happens when the power level goes really high? What happens is this. The gameplay gets extremely snowballing. If you lose, because here's the thing. This is what people don't understand. It's a bit high level, but I'm going to try to explain it to the best of my ability. Villagers and villager gather rate will pretty much always stay the same, okay? Villagers will not get buffed or nerfed or anything. Villagers always stay the same, which means that the amount of resources you have, the flow of economy that you get, is almost always the same, okay? But if units get stronger, what happens is if you start killing 1 or 2 villagers and your opponent is behind in resources and you have an extra like army advantage, for example, he's not going to be able to catch up in that army advantage because his flow of resources will always be the same, but your units after every patch are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And so the units will just completely overpower any kind of comeback mechanic that you can have. Because when you have 10 really strong units against 5 like strong units, or 10 really strong units against 5 really strong units, the snowball effect is much more because the units are much stronger. So if you have more of them, you're going to snowball the enemy army much quicker. But if you have 10 weak units versus 10 weak units, like for example, skirms for skirms, it's not a big deal because you can just back up with the skirms and then the weak units of your opponents will not kill that many villagers. You understand what I'm saying? So when you have really strong units on the field and they start snowballing and then they touch an enemy villager and they kill like 5-10 immediately, then the balance is completely broken because now you can't afford to take a bad fight. You can't afford to give any ground because the overpowered unit will run into your base and destroy everything. You understand what I'm saying here? So it's not a factor of like, or it's not the idea. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The idea isn't like, oh, if everything's strong, it's balanced. No, if everything's strong, then the balance between military and economy completely changes. And it makes it so villagers and whatnot are actually the things that get power creeped, which is funny enough. The villager of all things is the guy that's may need a buff himself. Who knows? But yeah, that's the big idea. So I don't buy this idea that you might argue that if everything's strong, it's balanced. It's not the case at all. So we have to keep the balance respected. And I think the new DLC of the Chinese, the 5 civs, the 3 kingdoms, that DLC completely brought in so much power. So Sato is mentioning it. I'm mentioning it here. Tons of other players think the same. And you guys don't even want to see my King of the Desert practice. I played some practice games yesterday, before yesterday. Played like 100 practice games. About 25% is just new unit cancer, essentially, is what I'm dealing with. And I have to try to practice and counter it somehow. And it's so difficult. I wish I can show you what I'm dealing with. Like between the siege towers, the fire lancers, the rocket carts. I wish I can show you what I'm dealing with, but out of respect to the people I practice with, I can't show the footage. But it's been horrendous. So like for me, this video from Sato is coming at the perfect time. He might have experienced something similar with the practice, but yeah, like again, I can't emphasize how important it is to lower the power level. It's gotten crazy after the new DLC.
Things. Otherwise, the next DLC will feel boring. Like now they introduce new units. We're gonna have a new DLC where, you know, the more impressive things you do, the more you have to keep doing impressive things. Otherwise, the next DLC will feel boring. Like now they introduce new units, new mechanics. What if we don't have new units and new mechanics, and it's gonna feel boring? People are not gonna buy it. So of course they're gonna do things that are like crazier each time, and of course that's not gonna be balanced. And I don't think they will care about the balance because, okay, let's say, like now we have something OP, and then we're gonna nerf it in 6 months. In 6 months, we're gonna have a new DLC with some OP things. And when are we gonna get a good balance? And they still need to sell the old DLCs, right? So yeah, it's just, I'm not sure where we draw the line of like, oh, we need to stop buffing things. Like, what about we start nerfing things? And I haven't done videos for a long time, but I feel like this one, I was really thinking about it, and to me it's sad because I've been playing Age of Empires 2 for like 11 years, and I love the micro of the game, and it's disappearing. Like the micro is just different. It's not Age of Empires 2 anymore. The micro is some weird mechanics that can be fun to discover, but it's not fun to play long term.
He's talking about patrol stacking. He's talking about siege tower abuse. He's talking about dodging ballistics left and right, etc. I agree with him again. can't disagree. The pro player micro right now, like the fun parts about microing of like hitting and running, dodging, counter attacking, flanking, hitting on two sides. I find myself rarely rarely doing that, and instead we're just abusing mechanics of the game. And like the recent patch with the pathing, melee units are stacking like crazy. So now like the micro is just stack 10 units on one tile and then just hope you win. It's absolutely ridiculous. And like there's no fix because we were talking about maybe us players, we just stop using the stacking. But then people were like, yeah, but you know, and this is my argument as well. If someone does it by accident, what do? You know, you just give him a loss because it can happen by accident that he just stacks his units. It's basically just stand ground patrol. So in the end, we decided not to do it. But the fact that players are getting together to try to have some kind of like gentleman's agreement to not use like a certain mechanic of the game is crazy. So yeah, that's what he's talking about essentially there with the mechanics.
Really not fun to play long terms. And on the other hand, some teams are really not balanced at all. Like for example, like Vikings Berserks are just weak. Like you just go champions instead, right?
That's
so
true.
I feel like just some like they make some thieves broken, but they don't touch the old thieves because the old thieves are the ones you have already when you buy the game, and they want people to buy the DLCs, like I said.
Okay, I'm gonna push back on this point a little bit. I know it's like corporate greed is like the thing we can blame. Like they want to make more money, they're evil. I think that's a bit one-dimensional. I don't think that the devs. I don't think that the only concern of the devs is making money. Obviously, they have to make some money, or else they don't have jobs. There's no point. Like Microsoft can't justify having a department that's making no money. You have to make some money, but I don't think they're so black and white that's like, if we don't make money, we're not going to think about it. I genuinely think they're trying to balance the game, but they have to make new stuff at the same time. So both are true. They have to make money and new stuff, but I genuinely think they want to balance the game. I just personally think they don't know how to balance the game correctly because they don't have as many high-level players testing the new stuff that they make. And there's a balanced Discord where all the pro players are giving feedback, but a lot of times they don't take the feedback into consideration the way I think they should, and they instead cater towards what they want the direction of the game to be, which is the unique stuff being pushed. And what I will say is I don't understand why we're taking so many ideas from stuff like Age of Mythology, Age of Empires 3, and Age of Empires 4. Like, I want to make a full video on this because, like, with respect, those other games failed compared to AOE2. Am I right or wrong? Did Age of Mythology not fail? It came out, it had hype, it was pushed like crazy. Now, barely any people play it. Age of Empires 4, it's doing okay, but compared to AOE2, it's basically failed, right? In terms of like the player base. So why are we taking ideas from failed games and bringing it into the one game that lasted 25 years, lasted the test of time? It doesn't make any sense to me. Why are we taking ideas from worse games and bringing them into AOE2 and then releasing them as DLCs as if it's like brand new ideas? That's what they do in a lot of cases. I need to make a full video on that because I so heavily disagree with that. The reason why AOE2 lasted the test of time is its beautiful simplicity, yet intricate design. There's a lot of depth to it. All right, it's very intricate, it's very delicate, but it's also super simple. Nothing crazy is happening, right? It's easy to understand what's going on. And we're moving further away from that simplicity, and we're introducing foreign ideas that come from these other games that, again, respectfully, suck ass, okay? They respectfully are way worse than AOE2, all right? Just like objectively speaking, just from like a raw player-based perspective. But anyway, that's kind of a small little side rant, but yeah, I don't even know what the last point he made is, but I agree with it.
They're just trying to make the sea like super OP so people get.
Oh yeah. So the devs are not only trying to sell stuff, like that's a bit one-dimensional. So I don't agree with his last point actually. I think it's a bit one-dimensional. They do want to balance it. I just don't think they know how to.
Excited, oh, I'm gonna do this and this. I'm getting excited myself sometimes. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do Flemish militias and scums in Feudal Age, and then Flemish militias siege tower. It's cool to find out and like to find an idea like this. You appreciate the game for a bit, and I'm just scared this is gonna kill the game at some point.
I don't think it'll ever kill the game from a casual perspective, but I think it could kill the competitive game actually.
Kill the interesting balance of the game. Of course, there will be new, like different people who enjoy it, like more casual games like, like people are not really interested in RTS in general. That's why Age of Empires 2, StarCraft, and other games are not so popular compared to other games. But still a strategy game. Like if we want a different way to play Age of Empires, different mechanics, different logic in the game, what about Age of Empires 5? Like Age of Empires 2, Definitive Edition. This is not Age of Empires 5 we are playing right now. Age of Empires 2, back then, we had pretty, balanced units, I would say. Maybe the level was not as high, so we couldn't really realize some units were imbalanced. But this was still more interesting. And I just think if you want to change the game so much, make a new one. Because
But again, it doesn't solve anything because they're bringing ideas from the new games they're making. That's the whole idea. Like that's the point. That's the point. I don't know if people don't realize this, but they make AOE4, right? We're like, oh, okay, cool, another game. Okay, I even played AOE4 when it came out. It was good when it first came out. I liked certain things, and then it got extremely boring, extremely fast because it didn't have the level of depth that AOE2 does. And then next thing I know, they're bringing in ideas from AOE4 into AOE2. So it doesn't help if they make another game. They're gonna bring the new stuff from the new game into this via DLCs.
they're just trying things to bring more popularity to the game. But as someone who bought the game initially the way it was, I disagree. But of course people don't care. But about my opinion, they wouldn't care about my one people opinion. But I think we are a lot of people, like all the pros are saying the same. Like the game is boring. Like so many things are boring, and it's just sad that
I wouldn't say the game is boring overall. I think what's boring is the fact that what's boring is certain games when you have like the siege tower cheese of just being insanely strong. The guy just runs the siege tower at you. We've all seen my clips and whatnot. I've played against it on the ladder plenty of times. Now it's infiltrated into tournaments as well, which I warned them it would about 2 months ago. No one listened. No, normal. And by them I mean the devs. Now we have siege tower like in a lot of games in the tournament. That's boring. So like I wouldn't say the game overall is boring. I feel like certain things that are being abused can be boring, like the phosphor strategies. Every game, if phosphor strats were played every game, then yeah, it could get boring and whatnot. But overall, I think the game is actually in a very good spot. It's very fun to play in a lot of ways. I loved what the devs did like a few patches back that made the unique units look good. The castles all unique. Like that brought a lot more fun to the game as well. So yeah, I wouldn't say the game is boring, but I think certain aspects are boring for sure.
a pro, I'm telling you, we have a professional player Discord. In the professional player Discord, we have to do some gentleman agreement to not play a certain thing, a certain mechanic, because it's just unfair. We're gonna have a Red Bull ladder soon, and we are talking about what we can do or what we cannot do, because I don't know, they don't really care. I think the devs just want some big battles that look impressive to the casual players, and with some impressive units that do different mechanics, and they want people to get excited over it.
Yeah, I talked about that gentleman's agreement as well. Like I said, nothing really came of it, but we'll see. But yeah, the fact that it's being discussed is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys get excited over it to watch some like big fire lancer battles, because it's cheap units. Like for example, this you can spam a lot, and then you can have like big battles, like some siege tower, some fun mechanics, but that are not balanced when you play at top level. Maybe this is just for the top level, the unbalances like this. But actually, I'm thinking some stuff like I was always thinking, for example, this unit with the Wu is even more unbalanced at lower elo. Like at lower elo, you cannot stop this unit. It's just
True.
not possible. I think that's what you call power creep, when you like buff something and you keep buffing it, like stuff are becoming stronger all the time.
Power creep is when you buff one thing and then it's too strong, so you buff everything else to match it. And then the cycle continues. That's power creep.
Yeah. So if you take the stats of the new units compared to the old units, it's becoming more and more impressive. The stats are just crazy. Like recently they gave Keichik plus 20 HP, plus 20 HP. That's a lot, right? Because it was not played enough. because we have more options in the game. We don't have to play Keshik. We can play Knights. We can play Step Lancers. We can play Lightcav. But they want us to play Keshik. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I was making earlier as well. Point Sato was making. Now with Tatars, after that recent patch, they gave them 20 extra HP in Castlage and made the unique upgrade cheaper. Let me be clear, Keshiks were already really strong before. Like the Keshik transition in a 1v1, that's Mr. Yo's bread and butter. Like he was always doing that. It's very strong, very hard to beat. Now they just became way stronger. And when you think of like a generic Civ, like Knights compared to Keshiks now, the Keshiks just have infinitely more stats than the Knight. So how can you ever win with Knights against some guy who's spamming Keshiks? And yeah, Keshiks need a castle, but in certain situations you have a castle. And you were already making Keshiks before. So to give the unit plus 20 HP and make the elite upgrade cheaper, for sure Keshiks are insanely strong now, for sure. Will Tatars be picked a lot? Who knows? Because Tatars are not the craziest Civ, but maybe they are going to be crazy because the Keshik is insane. But if Tatars will be picked now, you're always going Keshik in like 90% of games because that's what's strong about the Civ. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, it's kind of like, you have to go unique stuff or else your Civ does not feel good. So I really agree with a lot of the points that Sato is making here.
I don't know. That's really concerning to me. Anyway, guys, I'm not gonna make this video too long. I just wanted to explain my point of view. I hope they go back to like some more like standard overall bonuses, like blacksmiths and siege workshop technologies cost minus 50% food. You cannot make anything OP like this. This is cool upgrade, you know, like because you're always gonna click blacksmith upgrades. Are you always gonna go? Sorry, I'm making this video even longer. Are we always gonna go, for example, let's say this mounted unit and fire lancers plus 25% HP? Are we always gonna go fire lancers or step lancers? No, so then you have no bonus, so you see this shit. So to make use of your bonus, you have to go for the units they give you a bonus with. Well, anyway, you understand my point of view. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a good one. Bye-bye.
Sorry, really funny ending because like that's the end of the video, by the way. There's no like let your leave your opinion in the comments. He just wants to vent a little bit, get this out there, and then bye. Have a good one, guys. I'm out. That's hilarious. Good ending to this video. Yeah, so what he was saying at the end there is basically like he wants to see more generic bonuses, stuff like economy bonuses. Excuse me, economy bonuses that gives you options, like you can do whatever you want. You just have like a little bit faster wood income, or you have like some upgrades that are cheaper. So you still decide which upgrades you want, but they are cheaper, so you're getting some savings there, some timing advantages over your opponent. He wants bonuses that give the player flexibility and not bonuses that you have to go for or else your Civ does nothing. And if you go for them, it can feel really strong and really overpowered compared to your opponent. I agree with that once again. So again, as far as like the gameplay changes and the balance takes that Sato has brought forward here, I agree with them 100%. Like let's say 95%. I'm completely in agreement. And the reason is it's not even like a hot take at this point. Like Sato didn't open the camera here and just start like firing off crazy. He's saying what everybody's thinking. And I just want to quickly talk about something else. A new DLC was announced and I didn't say anything about it. Why didn't I say anything about it? Not on Twitter, not on YouTube. Nothing. Why? Because I can't believe we have a new DLC coming with civilizations hitting the rank ladder when we have 50 civilizations on the rank ladder already, most of which aren't really currently balanced. I can't understand how we have another DLC on the way out. I love DLCs. They're good for me. I make clickbait videos and I get money. Bring them on. Can't complain a lot. But at the same time, it's like, where's the limit? I thought 50 civs was actually a good limit to end on. It looked nice in the tech tree. It looked solid. And now we're just bringing in a new DLC with new civilizations to rank ladder as well. I don't mind. Like, again, I love this game. I think new stuff is nice to some extent. But to Sato's point earlier, where he mentioned that the new DLC has to be, very impressive because the old one, or not the old one, but the one that just came, the five new Chinese civs, that was a very impressive DLC. So many new units. If the new DLC does not have anything similar, then nobody's going to care. So it's going to have something similar. It's going to have new stuff. I don't know if it's going to be balanced. We might have more of the same pattern that we've seen of new stuff just being ridiculously strong. And then you have one of two situations. You either have the new stuff being completely overpowered, or you have the old stuff that gets buffed to match the level of the new stuff, which is, major power creep. So, with all that said, I wouldn't even say this is a negative video, but definitely a lot to process, I'm sure, I'm aware. But I want to put this out there as well because it's kind of like us, the players, that have to voice our opinions if we don't like the direction that the game is going in. The pros are pretty much all in agreement. And again, we have like the discords and whatnot. We're all in agreement about what we like and what we don't like. But what we don't hear about is the regular players, be it the guy who plays the rank ladder, every day he likes to play but is not a pro, the casual player that plays on the weekends, the really casual player that plays campaigns or just once in a while. It's good to hear a wide range of opinions so that we can actually see where the community's outlook is at. Because as a pro player myself, like Sato, I don't really see everyone's opinion. So we're putting out our opinion here, and I want to extend this to the comments. I want to ask you guys to weigh in on the conversation. Let us know what you think. Do we have it wrong? Do you guys see where we're coming from but don't agree? Or do you guys agree 100%? Voice your opinion, make it known, because if we make our opinion known and then the devs still do whatever they want, then okay, we have the right to complain, right? But if we don't say anything and then the game just keeps going down this, rabbit hole of, buffing things and new unique stuff that's overpowered, and we never said anything, then we really don't have the right to complain. So let's put our opinion out there. I think the devs have the right intentions. Again, I pushed back on the idea that they're doing only things for money. I don't think that's true. I think they have to make money, but I also think they care about the game and they want to see it, do well long term. They want to keep the balance in check. I just think they're having trouble with the how. They don't know exactly how to keep that, how to keep the balance in check, and they don't know exactly what direction to take the 50 civs and maybe even more in. So if we give the feedback and we make our voices heard, I think that's going to help them. I really do. And I think they'll do a good job of kind of like toning down certain things if we do present good arguments and we show that we are numbers that believe this way. But again, first of all, I'm not even sure if people believe this way, so do let me know in the comments. Putting this, I really want to see everyone's opinion here, and I'll be reading as many as I can just to really get a grasp of where people are. And I think that's the first step to getting some proper change here. Again, if change is needed and if change is what the majority wants, which I think is what the devs are concerned about here. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Sato, good job making this video. I think it's not an easy video to make, but I think guys, check out his channel. I think it's good to support other content creators and other pro players. So definitely be sure to subscribe. I'm already subscribed to this channel already. I'm a big fan. Yeah, anyway, take care guys. Have a good one. I'm out. Peace.